Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiryet Shavtam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridayantastohya Bhadrani Vidunoti Sruhasatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So in the previous class we covered Prahlāda Maharaj specifies Lord Nrsimhadev. And at the end of that chapter, Lord Nrsimhadev gave a benediction that you live in this material world for a long time. And so the benediction goes on, and Narad Muni explained to Yudhishthira Maharaj that Prahlāda Maharaj was really not looking for that benediction. That's where the chapter ended. And we'll be covering Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 10, Prahlāda, the best among the exalted devotees. So we'll cover the very first verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 10th chapter, verse 1. Shri Narad Uvacha Bhakti Yogyasya Tat Sarvam Antarayata Yatbhakaha Manyamano Hrishikesham Smayamana Uvachaha. Anyone from the audience? Shri Narada Uvacha Bhakti Yogasya Yatat Sarvam Antarayata Yakbhakaha Manyamano Hrishikesham Smayamana Uvachaha. Shri Narada Uvacha Bhakti Yogyasya Tat Sarvam Antarayata Yabhakaha Manyamano Rishikesham Smayamana Uvachaha. Shri Narada Uvacha. Narad Muni said, Bhakti Yogasya, of the principles of devotional service, Tat, those blessings or benedictions offered by Lord Nrsimhadev. Sarvam, each and every one of them. Antarahatiyataha, because of being impediments on the path of Bhakti Yoga. Arbhaka, Prahlāda Maharaj, although only a boy. Manyamanaha, considering. Rishikesham, unto Lord Nrsimhadev. Smayamanaha, smiling. Uvacha, said, her in the past. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Saint Narad Muni continued, although Prahlāda Maharaj was only a boy, When he heard the benedictions offered by Lord Narasimhadev, he considered them impediments on the path of devotional service. Thus he smiled very mildly and spoke as follows. Purport. Material achievements are not the ultimate goal of devotional service. The ultimate goal of devotional service is love of God. Therefore, although Prahlāda Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, Amrish Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj and many devotee kings were materially very opulent, they accepted their material opulence in the service of the Lord, not for their personal sense gratification. Of course, possessing material opulence is always fearful because under the influence of material opulence, one may be misdirected from devotional service. Nonetheless, a pure devotee, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, is never misdirected by material opulence. On the contrary, whatever he possesses, he engages 100% in the service of the Lord. When one is allured by material possessions, they are considered to be given by Maya. But when one uses material possessions fully for service, they are considered God's gifts and facilities offered by Krishna for enhancing one's devotional service. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatadham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, I was just meditating on this purport is so beautiful, and actually every purport is so beautiful that the only thing is how would you describe? If you were to describe, I would ask in the audience. The purports that we get to read that reveal the very mellow and the very meaning of each verse, how would you describe them? Means again, when I was thinking in those terms, it appeared to me that they are all simply wonderful. When we first got our Srimad Bhagavatam, we looked at Srimad Bhagavatam. It looks simply wonderful. And when you read it, it is simply wonderful. And there is actually an incident, that happened in Los Angeles that I'm reminded of, where Srila Prabhupada, after the class, he said, any question? So Nand Kishore, he asked, His Grace Nand Kishore Prabhu asked, what happens to a person if we just give him out on the street the simply wonderful or some prasadam, one piece of prasadam? Srila Prabhupada said, that is wonderful, simply wonderful. Laughter, he laughs. He has not tasted such wonderful sweet in his life. Therefore, you gave him wonderful. And because he is eating that wonderful sweet, one day he will come to your temple and become wonderful. All the devotees responded, Jai! Srila Prabhupada continued. Therefore, it is simply wonderful. So go on distributing this simply wonderful. Your philosophy is simply wonderful. Your prasadam is simply wonderful. You are simply wonderful. And your Krishna is simply wonderful. The whole process of simply wonderful. And he acts wonderfully, and it is acting wonderfully. Who can deny it? So the devotee said, one of the devotees, Prabhupada is simply wonderful. Prabhupada responded, that is all right. You can become everyone. All right, have Kirtan. So, continuing on that idea and the very face of simply wonderful, Vishakha Mataji and Yamuna Mataji, they wrote in one of the Back to Godhead magazine an incident. And it goes as, one day in the fall of 1970, when Srila Prabhupada was in Amritsar, India, so see the contrast. So first one is in Los Angeles, USA, and this one is in, Amritsar, India. One of his disciples asked him, about a slogan popular among Indians impersonalist philosophers. Tattvam asi. The impersonalists cite this phrase from the Vedic literature to support their philosophy that we are all God. Prabhupada explained that Tattvam asi indicated the living entity is one with God in quality. Both are spirit. But as far as quantity goes, God is infinite and the living entity is infinitesimal. To say we are all God, therefore, is a gross misapplication of this statement from the Vedic literature. Srila Prabhupada said, these impersonalists will just talk and talk Vedanta philosophy. It is simply mental speculation, and they will never come to any conclusion. They will go on speculating for years and lifetimes. But we will realize God simply by eating. And from the plate of prasadam, vegetarian food offered to Krishna, sitting in front of him, Srila Prabhupada selected a sweet and popped it into his mouth. Simply wonderful. So our whole process, if you pay attention, Srila Prabhupada said, is simply wonderful. Because all we have to do is chant, dance and eat prasadam. Which is simply wonderful, right? Chanting is simply wonderful because it purifies us and engages us in service. So when we chant, we are actually asking for service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with that mood we chant. We dance for the pleasure of the Lordships. And we eat prasadam for the pleasure of the Lordships. But all this process is for our own purification. So when Lord Narasimhadev gave the benediction to Prahlāda Maharaj, that Prahlāda, you may live a long time. So Prahlāda is thinking, I have this material body I have received, and I'm in this material world, so I'm going to be, in this material world, which is place of misery. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. So, means I may have to suffer more. He's looking from that perspective. Yet at the same time, long life is, and all, even though he's been offered in benediction, that he will be enjoying the kingdom of his father, he feels that each one of those, benedictions given by Lord Narasimhadev, they are impediments in his path. So he smiles mildly and he responds. And his response is also simply wonderful. If you see, he covers 3-4 major aspects. First he says that, Lord, I am born in an atheistic family, right? He is one of the Daityas. Daityas means sons of Ditis, so in the generation of Ditis. Now this is very interesting because normally we assume that the dynasties are being led by the fathers. And out here the dynasty is being recognized by a mother, right? And Adityas are sons of Aditi. And Daityas and Adityas, they have the same father, Kashyapa Muni. So he's saying that I am born in a family of atheists who are attracted to material gratification. And so please do not tempt me with these benedictions. Because sometimes these benedictions, as have been, again, I'm providing for the reference, is then they allure the devotees and cause their fall down. Can you think of any benediction given to a devotee that allured them to material energy and caused their fall? Ravan. Right? He got the Pashupati Shastra and then he became too arrogant from that point onwards, and that became the cause of his fall as well. Who else? Hiranyakashipu. He got a benediction and that was the cause of his fall. So if you look at, all the demons, and sometimes even the devotees, means Sahastra Arjun, Kartavirya Arjun, he got great benedictions. Lord Dattatreya gave him benedictions. But then that caused him to get attracted to material energy, and which caused a lot of pain to Lord Vishnu, realizing how that benediction actually became a curse for him. Because once anything that we receive is used for sense gratification, it actually becomes a curse for us and causes our fall down. And we have to be very, very careful. at every step in our life. So Prahlāda Maharaj is actually pointing to that particular tendency in us living entities who are in this material world, that we have the tendency to be allured. Now we already understood that as soon as Narasimhadev, after he had paid obeisances, before the prayers, when Lord Narasimhadev placed his hand on Prahlāda Maharaj's head, he was washed off of all material desires. He was completely pure. So these are the statements he is speaking when he is in a completely pure state. And even in our movement, there have been so many instances. So when Srila Prabhupada was facing a similar challenge, he was seeing some of his disciples falling, and he was telling one day to his disciples, you may fall down, but I cannot fall down, so I don't fall down. So they were like, what is the reason? And then he started paying obeisance to the deities. And after that, he said, because when I'm paying obeisance, I always pray, oh Lord, please don't let me fall down. So that is, every acharya has a fear that the disciple may fall down if they do not take full shelter and don't continue to pray that, oh Lord, please don't make me fall down. Please don't let me fall down. And what is the first symptom of fall down? Actually, we can see in our life some of the symptoms. Just like when you get sick, right? You get headache. It's a symptom. You are stressed out. Your body is, those are symptoms. You don't want to suppress the symptoms. You want to address the root cause. So even for fall down, we actually experience some symptoms in our life. So can you think of some of those symptoms? Unhappiness. Stress. That is fall down. More attraction. So, all are good answers. We stop hearing and chanting? Yeah, taste for, yes. Rupa Goswami, there is an incident where he shared that. Yes. Material, yes. Right. Yeah. Atyahara, prayascha, prajalpo, niyamagraha, janasangascha, lolyamcha, sadvir bhakti, vinashayata. Fault finding, yes. So actually, if you look at the root cause, it's pride. We become a little proud. And of course, sometimes even offenses are made. When offenses are made, Vaishnava Aparadh, they are called elephant disease. And sometimes we may make those offenses unknowingly. Like Jai Vijay, they didn't intend to offend Chaturkumaras. They just stopped them thinking, these naked kids, where are they going? Without realizing. So sometimes you cannot judge a person just by their appearance also. So that can also be taken as a symptom of pride. And sometimes Lord Krishna is so merciful that he's watching, and as soon as he sees pride coming in his devotee's heart, manifesting, he immediately removes it. There are various cases. Lord Indra, when he became too proud, Govardhan Leela happened. When Lord Brahma became too proud to test Lord Krishna, Brahma Vimohan Leela happened. So many Leelas have happened. It's interesting that if you go back and trace all the asuras that occurred, they appeared in Krishna Leela, they had actually made some or other offense in their previous life. But they were so lucky because the offense they had made was in that pure state, thinking of Krishna. They were associated with Krishna. So that was the reason that they were able to, again participate, even as demons, yet at the same time they were delivered, they were liberated. So here it is continuing that Prahlāda Maharaj, first he is teaching us by his example, that, we should not experience elephant bathing. Once an elephant goes in the water, cleans himself, comes out, and then puts dirt on himself. And that dirt comes in the form of pride. We become a little proud. We start judging people, fault finding. We start getting attraction towards material energy, start directing everything towards us. So Prahlāda Maharaj is continuing in this fashion. He is saying, "Oh Lord, you will not induce your devotee to be engaged in this material world." So he's expressing that, he's affected by that benediction. He's showing us. And then he continues, he talks about his relationship with Lord Nrsimhadev. He's saying, "O Lord, a servant who seeks material benedictions in return for his service is not a true servant. He's just a mercantile, he's a merchant. And a master who gives benediction, to maintain his position as the master is also not a true master." So he's not, addressing Lord Nrsimhadev with that particular "Oh, you're not a true master." He's just saying that these are the symptoms. And then he goes on that you had, if you want to give me a benediction, then give me the benediction. Because see, the thing is, sometimes when you give a gift, it's very interesting. One birthday, a man, again, it's a material example, we can clearly relate it in this case. A man, he was a Patriots fan. He loved Patriots, football team. It's a USA, NFL. And so he went to his nephew's birthday. And he gave him, the helmet that had Patriots logos and all that stuff on his birthday as a gift. Now it so happened that nephew was a Steelers fan. Right? Do you think nephew liked that gift? What was wrong with the gift? Mismatch of interest. Right? So Prahlāda Maharaj is feeling the same thing. I really need a benediction to go back home, back to Godhead, to constantly be engaged in Lord's service. So in this mood, he expresses that, "Lord, if you want to give me a benediction, give me the benediction that I come back home and be constantly engaged in devotional service." Now when Lord Nrsimhadev hears that, he is actually pleased. All the words that are coming out, all the prayers that are coming out from Prahlāda Maharaj's, coming as Prahlāda Maharaj is speaking to them, to him, he is actually pleased. And then Prahlāda Maharaj, he also realizes that, it's not where he should not be offending, and he continues to express his feelings. He said, "Lord, you have brought me to this material world only to show the symptoms of a pure devotee." So he's expressing, what does a pure devotee desire? He's always desiring to serve Krishna, engage in that devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport wrote, what is the goal of our life? Krishna Prema, love of Godhead. And we have covered earlier the beggar's story, beggar and the king's story, where how the process itself is the goal. So when we chant, that is an expression of our love, and we want to increase that love towards Krishna by engaging in serving Him. So Prahlāda Maharaj is, when he says these prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, he responds that, "Prahlāda, it is my order." So Lord Nrsimhadev, previously what was benediction, now he makes it an order. That you rule in this material world, your father's kingdom, for the duration of Manu. So Manvantara, duration, which is a long duration. And then the benediction continues, that even though you're in this material world, it does not matter. You will constantly be engaged in my devotional service, remembering me always. So again, that is an arrangement where Lord gives him benediction that Prahlāda Maharaj will be constantly engaged in devotional service while carrying out his material duties. So Prahlāda Maharaj at this particular time, what does he do? He surrenders, because this is an order. And he says, that, "Oh Lord, if you want to give me some benediction, then give me the benediction that my father, who, had performed grievous, sins by blaspheming you, thinking you to be his enemy because he thought that you have killed his brother Hiranyaksha. And he, perform many grievous heavenly sins against you, heavy sins against you. May he be delivered. Even though I know that he was delivered the moment you glanced at him. So at this point, Lord Nrsimhadev, he says, yes, as soon as I touched your father's body, he was liberated. So don't worry about that. And at the same time, a devotee like you, who's born in a family, 21 generations, 21 generations of forefathers are liberated. And all the dynasties nearby, even though condemned, are liberated. So see, it's amazing effect of the presence of a devotee. Not just there are so many devotees living at this temple. Not just that their forefathers are liberated, their coming generations are blessed, but even the people living around them are getting that benediction. You can think of like sun. Like sun is at one place, but it's emanating all this energy and spreading its illumination and illuminating so many planets. So that is the effect of a presence of a devotee. So hearing this, and then Nrsimhadev continues. Lord Nrsimhadev says, O Prahlāda, even though this is the case, you as a son should perform your duty. And the duty of a son is to perform Shad ceremony for his father's liberation. So sometimes people get confused, right? What's the confusion? What's the dilemma here? That if the father is liberated, if Hiranyakashipu is liberated, why should a Shad ceremony be performed for him? And Lord Nrsimhadev is clarifying that his instruction is that the duty of a son is to perform Shad ceremony for the deliverance of his father. And of course, Shad ceremony goes for the forefathers as well. Pitra Loka, those are the recipients. But then, again, you offer everything to Krishna, and Krishna distributes. So again, we water the root of the tree, and everything is nicely distributed. Yet based on this instruction, Prahlāda Maharaj, he performs Shad ceremony. Shukracharya, he is the one, as a Brahmin, who is performing with Prahlāda Maharaj. And Lord Brahma is also present, all the demigods are present. And at that time, Nrsimhadev has also given the benediction that yes, you will be ruling your father's kingdom. So all the other kingdoms which was, Hiranyakashipu has usurped from other personalities, Gandharva Loka, Vidyadhara Loka, Pitra Loka, all those places. So they were returned back to those respective owners. And Prahlāda Maharaj, he was made the king of the giants and the Daityas, the demons in this material world. And at that particular time, Devashi Narad, he says that, this particular narration, and of course there are 3 benedictions in this chapter, they appear in this time. First benediction is that 21 generations of Prahlāda Maharaj's forefathers would be liberated. So his whole dynasty is purified and liberated. Second one is that whoever hears the prayers and the activities of Prahlāda Maharaj and also Lord Nrsimhadev activities is, the benediction is specifically that one who always remembers your activities and my activities also, this is Lord Nrsimhadev saying, and who chants the prayers you have offered, becomes free in due course of time from the reactions of material activities. Now this reminds me, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madhan Mohan ki jai. Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. So the statement, the benediction says, from the reactions of material activities. So Dinbandhu Prabhu has, a similar incident that happened in Vrindavan. He was telling when he takes people out on parikrama, and people, they were entering in Yamuna. So he said, Yamuna is greatly praised because in Ganges, when you take bath in Ganges, all your sins wash away, right? So the bad material activities, all the reactions, the bad reactions, they go away. But when you take bath in Yamuna, the good reactions and bad reactions both go away. And many people stepped out thinking, wait a minute, good reactions that we won't get to enjoy, the material energy means, sense gratification, they immediately, without understanding the full context. So the benediction goes that, and this is Lord Narasimhadev, he explained that, Prahlāda, even though you are in this material world, by enjoying, by experiencing all the happiness associated, you will nullify your account, which is because of your good reactions. And by being pious as a devotee, you will nullify the negative reactions. And somebody can say, wait a minute, how could Prahlāda Maharaj have any negative reaction? He's fully liberated. Well, liberation is a state. While your accounts are still there, right? We have karma, vikarma, and akarma accounts. Akarma accounts, it goes on from life after life and so on. But then vikarma and karma accounts, they need to be nullified. So that's being identified here. And so, again, in Brihan Narasimha Puran, it is described that Prahlāda Maharaj asked Narasimhadev that, how did I become your devotee? Please, reveal the secret to me. And at that time, Narasimhadev revealed to him that in the city of Avanti, once there lived a Brahmin by the name Vasu Sharma. And in his wife's womb, he fathered 5 sons. The wife of Vasu Sharma was Shushila. So the first 4 sons, they were very pious, educated and learned. However, you, the youngest one, you were named Vasudev, and your character was polluted because you became attracted to a prostitute. And so you were, engaged with that prostitute, and it so happened that due to a quarrel with the prostitute, on the Narasimha Chaturdashi Tithi, both of you, the prostitute as well as Vasudev, they together, did not eat anything, and they stayed awake all night. And it just so happened that was outside Lord Narasimha's temple. So Lord Narasimha, he has appeared many times before in different yugas as well. So there was a Lord Narasimha's temple, and since they were spending their night, Prahlāda Maharaj also cleaned up the temple area as he was, spending the night there. And all night, because of the quarrel, because of a disturbed mind, they were awake. So unknowingly, Agya Sukriti, right? Unknowingly, they had observed the fast of Narasimhadev Chaturdashi. And just by performing that, the prostitute took birth as an apsara in one of the heavenly planets and enjoyed in those heavenly planets while engaging in Lord's service and became his favorite and returned back home. And Vasudeva was, he took birth as Prahlāda Maharaj. And because of his akarma account, he got association and benediction from Lord Sage Narad Muni, Devashi Narad Muni. And so, hearing in devotion service, he was able to become a pure devotee. So he has to nullify his karma and vikarma accounts. So this is the arrangement made by the Lord. Then the third benediction is that one who hears and chants. So this is given by Devashi Narad when he is narrating to Yudhishthira Maharaj. That one who hears and chants this narration about the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is certainly liberated from material bondage without fail. So our bondage is destroyed with the material. So again, that's what we want. We don't want to engage in sense gratification, and actually we want to engage in Lord's service. So that is enabled. And then he says in this chapter, Lord Narasimhadev, the incarnation of the Lord, that's described. The great characteristic, the exalted position of Prahlāda Maharaj is described. And also, then he goes on to describe later on what the births Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu took. So Hiranyakashipu was born later as Ravan and Hiranyaksha as Kumbhakarna, and they were killed by the supreme power of Lord Ramchandra. And they laid on the ground meditating on the Lord. Then after that, they took birth as Shishupal and Dantavakra, as the cousins of the Lord. So now their birth have been arranged by Yogamaya, not like Mahamaya, like ours is arranged. So Yogamaya is arranging these births, and they are given actually birth-wise, they are given the same position as Lord Krishna. So that's amazing. And what Yudhishthira Maharaj has said is, seen is like the light from their body had merged at the time of their death, being killed by the Lord, into Lord. So, it appeared that they achieved Sayujya Mukti. But actually, they have Salokya because they went to the Vaikuntha planet where the Lord is present as Lakshmi Narayan and engaged in his service. So they are Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya. So they actually got liberated and were engaged in Lord's devotional service afterwards. And also he goes on to further identify, that hey, Lord Krishna is present at your palace, at your home, with you Pandavas. And sometimes he's acting as a servant and acting as your spiritual master. And all saintly persons know this, so they visit this place often. So if someone is to consider who's the luckiest, who do you think is the luckiest? Hiranyakashipu, Ravan, Prahlāda Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, so many devotees were named. Yudhishthira Maharaj, who's the luckiest? Who do you think is the luckiest? Yes. But what is the symptom in pure devotion? So pray with such a devotion that not just that you want to see the Lord, but that the Lord wants to see you. Right? And where is Lord constantly staying? With the Pandavas. So Narad Muni is revealing to Yudhishthira Maharaj that your fortune is greater than that of Prahlāda Maharaj. Because after performing his activities at Narasimhadev, he disappeared. Yet at the same time, Lord Krishna, who is the source, because Lord Narasimhadev, it is revealed earlier, has 60 qualities, while all the 64 qualities are present in Lord Krishna. He is present at your palace, and all the saintly persons come to your palace. And he is acting as your servant as well as your spiritual master at times. So his fortune is much higher. And then later on, it is narrated that, how Maya Danav, his description comes in, Lord Shiva's reputation was belittled because of the effect of Maya Danav. And how Lord Krishna, re-established the reputation of Lord Shiva. That will go in the next class. Any questions or comments at this point? So again, means there are wonderful narrations in this particular chapter, how a devotee thinks. There are very interesting lessons that we learn from this chapter. How we should always be fearful of this material energy and how to, always keep our focus towards the Lordships and his devotional service. And also, how the saintly persons are always giving benediction and giving us simply wonderful. Simply wonderfuls, that's what it is. So the message today is just simply wonderfuls. All the benedictions that we get in our life that we simply ignore, taking them and taking them for granted. We should actually see how wonderful they are. And they become simply wonderfuls when they are engaged and associated with Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari.